Hi, I'm Ruth. I've always been the family disappointment, according to my parents. No fancy college degree, no high powered career, just a retail job and a tiny apartment in the city. But to my Uncle James, I was the only one who got it. We'd spend hours on his porch watching the waves crash against the shore while everyone else was busy networking at family gatherings. This view is worth more than any promotion, Ruthie. He'd wink at me while sipping his iced tea. When Uncle James died last month, it hit me hard. I wasn't ready to say goodbye to the only person who never tried to fix me. The family gathered at Mr. Phillips's law office for the will reading. I sat in the back, just wanting to get through it. And to my beloved niece, Ruth, I leave my beach house property at 542 Ocean Drive, valued at approximately $1.2 million. The room went dead silent. I think I stopped breathing. There must be some mistake. Cousin Diane stood up, her designer purse clutched so tight her knuckles went white. Dad promised that house would be mine when he was gone. Mr. Phillips adjusted his glasses. The will is quite clear, Miss Thompson. Mr. James Thompson left explicit instructions. I've been helping him maintain that property for 15 years. We had an understanding. Diane's voice got higher with each word. I'm sorry, but legally the property belongs to Ruth now. Diane turned to me, eyes narrowed. You always were his favorite. What did you do? Manipulate a sick old man in his final days? I didn't know he was leaving me anything. Oh, please. You've never worked for anything in your life. You think you deserve $1 million property? Martin, Diane's husband, put his hand on her shoulder. We should discuss this privately, as family. The way he said family made my skin crawl. Later that evening, I called my best friend Olivia. Girl, you own a beach house now. This is insane. Diane is furious. She literally told everyone I manipulated Uncle James. Who cares what she thinks? What are you going to do with the place? I hadn't really thought about it. Selling crossed my mind. The money would change my life. But something felt wrong about that. I think I'm going to move in. Seriously? Just pack up and leave the city? Why not? My lease is almost up and I can transfer to the store location near the beach. Plus, it feels like what Uncle James would want. But what about Diane and her husband? They seem pretty determined. It's my house now. They'll just have to deal with it. That's my girl. Need help packing? I'm free this weekend. 2 weeks later, Olivia and I pulled up to the beach house with my life packed in her SUV. The sun was setting over the ocean, painting the sky in pinks and oranges. Uncle James always said this view was worth more than money. Now I get it. You sure about this? It's not too late to sell and buy a penthouse somewhere. I looked at the weathered blue house with the wraparound porch. I'm sure. This is home now. What I didn't say was that I could feel Diane's eyes on me already. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. The first week at the beach house felt surreal. Every morning, I'd wake up to the sound of waves and pinch myself. This place was actually mine. I was watering Uncle James's prized hydrangeas when a voice called out from the neighboring yard. You're watering them too much, dear. James always gave them just a little in the morning. I turned to see a tiny woman with silver hair pulled into a bun, leaning on a garden rake. I'm Eleanor. Lived next door to your uncle for 27 years. Nice to meet you. I'm Ruth. I know who you are. James showed me all your pictures. Said you were the only one in the family who wasn't chasing dollar signs. I helped Eleanor carry her groceries inside, and she insisted I stay for tea. Your cousin came around a lot in those final months, always with that husband of hers and some real estate fellow. Real estate guy? Slick type, expensive watch, cheap smile. Trevor something. They'd spend hours with James, leaving him exhausted. The next day, I ran into Mike, who owned the coffee shop down the street. You're James's niece? The one who forced him to change his will? My stomach dropped. What? No, I never... Sorry, that's just what I heard. Diane mentioned it when she was in here with her husband. Said you threatened to abandon James if he didn't leave you the house. I was still fuming when I got home to find a glossy business card tucked in my door. Trevor Lawrence, Coastal Elite Properties. I barely had time to process this when my phone rang, a local number I didn't recognize. Is this Ruth Thompson? This is Trevor Lawrence. I represent several investors interested in beachfront properties like yours. Not interested in selling? I understand, but I should mention I've been working with Diane and Martin on a potential arrangement that would benefit everyone. Perhaps we could meet? Before I could respond, my doorbell rang. Standing there was Diane herself, looking perfectly put together in designer sunglasses. We need to talk. I reluctantly let her in. She walked around, running her finger along Uncle James's furniture like she was checking for dust. This place needs serious work. The foundation alone will cost you thousands to fix. The foundation is fine. Uncle James had it inspected last year. Did he, though? Because Martin helped him with contractor meetings. And that's not what we heard. I crossed my arms. What do you want, Diane? To make you an offer. $800,000 cash for the house. You walk away with more money than you'd make in 20 years at your little job, and we handle all the closing costs. The place is worth at least $1.2 million. With the repairs needed? Plus, do you really want to deal with property taxes? Hurricane insurance? This isn't a game, Ruth. You're in over your head. The answer is no. Diane's pleasant mask slipped. Don't be stupid. You don't belong here. Everyone in town knows James wasn't thinking clearly at the end. After she left, I called Olivia. They're playing dirty, spreading rumors that I manipulated Uncle James. That's messed up. What are you gonna do? I don't know yet, but Eleanor mentioned they were pressuring him to change his will. I need to find out what really happened those last few months. The next morning, Eleanor appeared at my door with a shoebox. James asked me to give you this if anyone gave you trouble about the house. Said you'd know what to do with it when the time came. Inside were dozens of handwritten letters, photos, and a small tape recorder. I spent the entire night going through Uncle James's box. The letters documented everything. Diane and Martin's repeated visits, the pressure they put on him, and even threats about putting him in a home if he didn't make the right decision about the property. The tape recorder contained conversations I could hardly believe. Uncle James had recorded them secretly. You're getting too old to manage this place, Dad. Sign it over now and we'll let you stay until, you know. Diane's voice was syrupy sweet but had an edge. And if I leave it to Ruth instead? Uncle James asked. That would be a mistake. She wouldn't appreciate it like we would. Besides, she's not really family in the same way. I was still processing everything when I noticed water seeping under the bathroom door. The sink had been left running with the drain mysteriously plugged. I'd never left it like that. The next day, I found the back door unlocked, even though I distinctly remembered locking it. The day after, the electrical panel had been tampered with. This is getting serious. They're trying to drive you out. Olivia arrived with bags of equipment. My brother works in security. He sent these cameras we can install. We spent the afternoon setting up cameras at every entrance, plus the electrical panel and water main. Olivia showed me how to access the footage on my phone. This connects to your Wi-Fi and uploads to cloud storage. No one can delete it, even if they find the cameras. At 2 a.m., my phone buzzed with an alert. I watched in real time as Martin used a key to enter through the back door, heading straight for the basement. Call the police, Olivia whispered beside me. When the officers arrived, they caught Martin in the act of tampering with the water heater. I'm just checking on things for my father-in-law's property, he claimed. Sir, the owner is right here, and she didn't give you permission to enter. The officers took Martin away while he shouted about family property and misunderstandings. The next morning, I called Mr. Phillips, Uncle James's lawyer. I'm not surprised, he said when I told him what happened. Your uncle suspected they might try something like this. That's why he was so specific in his will. Why did he leave the house to me and not Diane? He found out they were planning to demolish the house and sell the land to developers. Trevor Lawrence had already drawn up plans for condos. Your uncle wanted someone who would preserve the place. Later that afternoon, Trevor himself showed up at my door. I heard about last night's incident. Unfortunate misunderstanding. Breaking and entering isn't a misunderstanding. Look, this doesn't have to get messy. I've got buyers willing to go $900,000 now, off the record. No real estate commission, no taxes. Cash in a suitcase if that's what you want. Is that what you offered Uncle James? Trevor shifted uncomfortably. I don't know what you think you know, but this offer is on the table for 48 hours only. After that, things might get complicated for you. After he left, I called Olivia and Eleanor to come over. I've got an idea, I said, spreading out the evidence from Uncle James's box. They want to play dirty? Fine, but first, we need to talk to everyone in town who's heard their lies. I pulled out a notepad. Eleanor, who else did Diane talk to? And Olivia, can your brother get us more equipment? I'm going to need better recordings. What exactly are you planning? Olivia asked with a smile. A family reunion they'll never forget. 3 days later, I sent a carefully worded email to Trevor, Diane, and Martin. After consideration, I'm open to discussing offers for the property. Meeting at the beach house Saturday, 2 p.m. Olivia helped me set up the living room with refreshments and hidden recording devices. Mr. Phillips arrived early with Police Officer Jenkins, who we stationed in the guest bedroom. You sure about this? Olivia squeezed my hand. Absolutely. Uncle James deserves justice. The doorbell rang precisely at 2. Diane waltzed in like she already owned the place, followed by Martin and Trevor. So glad you've come to your senses, Diane smirked. We brought paperwork to make this quick and easy. Before we start, I invited some people who might interest you. On cue, Eleanor entered with Mike from the coffee shop and 3 other neighbors. What's this? We don't need an audience. Trevor loosened his tie. Actually, we do, because this isn't about selling the house. I clicked a remote, and Uncle James's voice filled the room from the hidden speakers. Diane, I've told you repeatedly I'm not changing my will. Stop bringing these developers to my home. Everyone watched as Diane's face turned ashen. I switched to the security footage from 3 nights ago, showing Martin breaking in and tampering with the water heater. That's out of context, Martin sputtered. Is this out of context too? I revealed printed copies of Trevor's text messages to Diane outlining their plan to harass me out of the house. Where did you get those? Trevor stood up, knocking over his water. Your assistant Jenna was very helpful when I showed her the evidence of real estate fraud you were planning. Eleanor stepped forward. I've lived next door for 27 years. I witnessed Diane and Martin threatening James multiple times. I kept a journal of every incident. She placed a leather-bound notebook on the table. You nosy old... Diane began. Careful, I interrupted. Officer Jenkins might find that relevant. On cue, Jenkins emerged from the bedroom. Martin Thompson, you're under arrest for breaking and entering, attempted property damage, and harassment. This is ridiculous. We're family, Martin shouted as Jenkins handcuffed him. Family doesn't try to gaslight an elderly man or sabotage his house, I replied. After Martin was escorted out, Trevor grabbed his briefcase. I had no knowledge of any illegal activities. Save it for the Real Estate Licensing Board. They've received copies of everything, including your cash offer, off the record. Diane remained, tears streaming down her face. Ruth, please. We can work this out. I was just doing what I thought was best for Dad. No, you were doing what was best for your bank account. The beach house was never about family for you. It was about the land value. I'm sorry, truly. Can't we move past this? Your apology means nothing. You tried to steal my inheritance and destroy my reputation. Now get out of my house. After everyone left, Olivia poured champagne while Eleanor and the neighbors cheered. To James, Eleanor raised her glass. He knew exactly what he was doing when he left this place to you. I walked out onto the porch, the same spot where Uncle James and I used to watch the waves. You were right, Uncle. This view is worth more than any promotion. I sipped my champagne, finally at peace in my home by the sea. So what would you have done if you were in Ruth's position? Do family members deserve inheritance just because they're next in line? Or should someone's final wishes be respected no matter what? Was Ruth right to stand her ground against Diane's manipulation? Or should family peace sometimes come before principle? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Did you side with Ruth? Or do you think there could have been a better solution? If you enjoyed this revenge story where the good person actually wins in the end, hit that like button so more people can find it. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that'll have you cheering for justice. New uploads every day.